Wonderful. Let's begin.
Let's.
All right. How about a brief introduction? Your position here, how long you've been here, and a little bit of your job responsibilities as well as your professional background.
Okay. Well, my title currently is the Central Regional Manager of Sports Training. So that's a mouthful, obviously. I started in October of 2010 in our Southern Regional office with a similar title, but it was the Southern Regional Manager of Sports Training. And then the position came open up here about 2.5 years into that stint, and I moved up here, which basically a lateral move, but kind of a step up just because this position has a little bit more responsibilities with our different state events. So, yeah, that was my little half step up. So my main responsibilities as being a training director is coordinating trainings with the different areas in the central region of Illinois. So I know you have that map. I don't know if you flip to that, but it's the white center section. So it's like up to LaSalle, Peru, and includes Decatur, Champaign, all the way over to like Monmouth area. So there's all those satellite offices. I coordinate with the area directors. Trainings, what the trainings are is we have a coaches education system. So our coaches, we host the trainings that are sport specific. So like I've done like 3 athletics ones in evenings this week because we're in the thick of our track and field season. But we offer 18, 19 different sports, and we offer trainings in all the different sports. So it's facilitating the training, so that means finding a facility, finding a clinician, which is someone to lead, usually the sport side of it, if I'm not leading it. Because of my sports background, sometimes I'm comfortable leading the entire section, because the trainings typically are classroom-based session, where it's basically your basic Special Olympics kind of policies and procedures, and then there's a sport-specific component, which is like, you know, on the track, in the pool, on the court, whatever it may be, breaking down skills, drills, things, teaching the sport essentially to the coaches. Because some of our coaches have experience in sports and some of our coaches have like no idea, like between soccer and basketball, or like any idea. So it's difficult to kind of balance that and bridge the gap between coaches that come out that just kind of need a refresher or just want to know like the newest rules for us, and those that might not have a clue. So that can be a challenge. But in addition to the trainings, then with all our state events, which there's a sheet in there, I just highlighted the ones that I have a role in. As you can see, year-round there's always something going on. So for each of those state events, I have a certain part that I take a lead on. So something that I've really kind of embraced in this role is volunteer management. So like state basketball, which has come to pass in March, I set up the event. We use an online registration for volunteers. So set up the event, manage the communication with volunteers, manage them on site that day, the check-in process, the training process, all that. So that's kind of my role, as well as on site at those events, being a venue supervisor. So being one of the point people that any issue comes up, you know, they will be coming to me to help sort it out. Biggest event is Summer Games. We have, I think, 3,000 athletes that come for that. So my main focus right now is getting volunteers, starting to recruit for that, and start laying the groundwork for that, because that's in the middle of June. So it's already April, and we're like in full swing for that event.
So it sounds like you wear several hats, so you're not just coordinating the coaches and helping them to coach the sports, but you also at times do step into roles to step into different roles to fill those positions or assist in the training for the coaches also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's a big thing here is we all have our job titles and our specific duties, but there's a lot of crossover, especially within department. Like I'm in the sports training competition department, so our basic function is to manage all the district events, sectional events, and state events. So what that means is each of the areas, and there's 18 areas in the state, they have an area director, and some have multiple area staff. So they're doing the grassroots, kind of the qualifying competitions in which the areas advance from the area events to a district, a sectional, which the area directors also help with, but our staff kind of takes a lead in those too. And a lot of the equipment, like medals, volunteer T-shirts, comes out of this office. Paperwork for the event, we take a big lead in that and kind of distribute it out to the areas, and usually are on site as well. So, for example, tomorrow, the district aquatics event. So I'm going to be there on site helping. That day, as well as my supervisor. So. Just kind of depends on the need and the support that's needed in the field.
With doing so much, you said evenings and some weekend things there, what are some lifestyle choices that you've had to make because of your job, and how do you feel about them?
Well, I feel different about them now that I'm getting older, because when I started this job, what was I, 22? I don't know, it was my first big girl job. So I feel like I am a hard worker and I've got a work ethic, so I tend to pour a lot of myself into what I'm doing. Like you said, it's like endless opportunities to, if I want to like try and do training here, training there, it's required of me, but also it's like, how much can I put together? Like I could have something every night of the week. Like right now, if I look at this calendar on the wall, I don't have a full free weekend until like middle May. Right now is my only free weekend until basically like in June. So yeah, lifestyle choices, it's challenging. If you think about meeting people, think about other relationships, things like that, it's different. Like now, fast forward 5 years, I'm 27. So things that weren't as important to me getting started, starting to open my eyes to other things that are out there, obviously, besides just work. So it's important to have a balance, and sometimes it's a struggle to find that in this role.
Okay. Also, you mentioned coaching and things like that. What kind of pressures come with that, and then like the working conditions and being outside or being inside all day, or whatever it may be?
Well, that's something I like about this role, is that every day can be different. And being in this job as well versus some others in my department, I get to be out and about in the field, working with coaches and athletes, which I like, being more hands-on versus just kind of sitting in the office day to day. Kind of gets boring. I've never enjoyed that. So I do like the variety. In terms of conditions, yeah, obviously we're inside, outside for events. What was your other part of that question?
Just working conditions, and then the pressure of having to deal with, the human factor with getting coaches ready to coach their events.
Yeah. It's pressure time-wise, too. For the trainings, what we ideally try to schedule them, 8 weeks before the competition. So, for instance, there's our spring games, which are our track events, like the first weekend in May. So when I'm looking to start scheduling, I kind of count backwards 8, 9, 10 weeks. So that, gives a chance to catch the coaches before the season starts, to kind of give them the rundown and hopefully give them the nods they need. So they're starting their season on the right foot with their athletes, and not, getting all the way in their season right before the event and like, oh shoot, that's how that's supposed to be done. So trying to do as much as we can to, make sure proper techniques, proper, everything is kind of instilled in them. They can learn that.
Okay. Well, working with the coaches as well as working with the athletes, what are some important characteristics and personality traits that you would need to be successful in this field?
Something that has really helped me is that I am pretty laid back, and a lot of times, especially at events, even though I think it's, again, a misconception of Special Olympics, we do have parents get upset, we have coaches get upset, at calls made, calls not made. We have DQs for, track events, for aquatics events, just like any other event. So there's definitely instances where I've been, a foot from my face, people yelling at me, people like not liking how things went down. So definitely have to respond appropriately to that. And I just choose not to match other people's aggression. And thankfully I've been able to handle that in an okay manner, but that can sometimes be a not so fun experience. And I guess just pressure-wise, our calendar is very cyclical, which maybe we'll get to that. But being in this role now a few years, I know that like March, April, May, once we're done with summer games, I can kind of like exhale, like relax a little bit, because we are so busy in the start of the year. So it's helped me. I mean, time management in any role is huge, but especially in this one, it's not ever just focused on like one task. It's definitely doing things for summer games already, and doing things today for aquatics tomorrow, and then there's another event that I put on the end of May. So it's definitely spreading my time out, amongst all my responsibilities, and hopefully not dropping any balls. And that just helps to be just super flexible and, help people when they need it, because then they'll help you, hopefully.
Right. Along those same lines, I guess more of the educational aspect, like what you need to know, what competencies, I guess experiences, education, and other training would be required for a position such as yours.
Well, I just have my bachelor's degree, so I don't have any further degrees, something I've thought about but haven't pursued. In this setting, typically it's a sports sort of background, sports management. Again, the balance with the Special Olympics, developmentally disabled population. We have some that start out as special ed teachers, maybe OT, PT, those kind of lines, or special rec kind of background. But in addition to that, along the way, we're all required to have first aid, CPR training, keep up on that. We are encouraged by our bosses to, seek out professional development if we want to go to a seminar on like an Excel workshop, or just if we aren't proficient in something that day to day, would help our work output or help what we're doing. We're encouraged, to seek those things out, and usually supported on those, so that's nice.
Any other trainings that you have to go through to get certified to teach coaches, or is that just kind of a personal...
I did not. I mean, I think when they're looking at hiring this position, it obviously helped that I do, was an athlete, and can, lead up some of those things on my own. But no, it was not anything else required.
Okay. I guess what's the most satisfying part of your job working with Special Olympics and the sports, being competitive? What would be the most satisfying and the most challenging or frustrating aspects of the position?
It kind of goes hand in hand. I think most satisfying is that obviously not all days here are good days. I don't know if there's all good days anywhere you are. But it definitely, for me, if I'm stuck in the office for a week or two, or if I just kind of feel down with workload, or, had a discrepancy with, an event or something didn't go well, it just helps me to, like, get out at a training with our athletes and just kind of hang out with them, to be honest, and, like, go to our events and see, the impact that it really does have on our athletes. They eat, sleep, breathe Special Olympics, and it's pretty impressive. So that always, selfishly a little maybe, but kind of refreshes me, and it just is a good reminder, and, can be very humbling to where I'm at in life, and, thankful for what I've been blessed with. So I definitely, that's why I'm in this role too, is, like, with a sports degree, like, the opportunities are widespread. So different experiences I had, it just kind of led me to want to see more about the nonprofit side of things and doing some greater good beyond just like working for the bottom line. Mm-hmm. So that's been a good fit. Challenges? We just have different challenges, really. Funding is always a challenge. So, our agencies, which is our different, that's what we call our teams, our groups that come out. So, they can be school groups, or like I said the other day, from group homes, or a day services. They can be private, public. So, they have different funding, different constraints, but for them to get out and practice, it's facilities. For them to get to an event is, cost, transportation. And while we don't charge a fee to participate, everyone's responsible to get to the event that day. So it's kind of beyond our reach sometimes to help beyond that. So that's a struggle sometimes when like, oh, we really want to come to this event, but, the bus or what, there are not enough chaperones, or the paperwork, they didn't get it in on time. And so it's hard to see those challenges.
Earlier you mentioned making a lateral move within the company. What's kind of the career path that some people go on, or that you've seen, or that you're looking for?
What has been the trend is a lot of people who have come to Special Olympics, and this is what I've seen meeting people from other programs from other states in Special Olympics. I'll use the term lifer. Like, a lot of people are lifers, which I get fidgety, obviously, about thinking about. I don't really foresee that in the cards for me, but we do have like 75 full-time staff, and of those, I have 2 women in my department have each been here 25 years plus, and that, I think, again, with our generation, is changing of how long people stay in positions. So it hasn't been a lot of wiggle room, and our structure, how it's set up, there isn't really a lot of room for advancement, really in any department, whether it's area management, which those are the area directors, that are broken up in the county areas. For them, beyond being a supervisor to a region, which is a one person, that's basically their ultimate step up. For me, I have a boss. My boss has a boss, so it's basically 2 steps. But if I get real and think about it, my boss is 32, has been here a year, and could very well be one of those lifers. So for me personally, thinking about career growth and step up, I'm not sure I see that here. I've been offered a lot of awesome opportunities in this role, which have been really satisfying, such as going to the National Games last summer, have a role with World Games this summer. So my boss has put that faith in me, or advocated for me to get those roles, which has been really awesome, and I've been really, that has meant a lot to me. But it always, leaves me wondering what's next, or, wanting more, wanting to do more, and not sure if in this role that's how much more I can grow.
With that being said, probably the most important question is, what advice would you give to someone looking to break into this field, or someone that's looking to consider being in this field or this organization?
I would say, life advice, keep an open mind, but really, I don't know how many people truly end up where they thought that they would. So I think keep your options open. I know for me, starting out, did I ever think I was going to live in, Southern Illinois and, spend a chunk of my life in Central Illinois? I think, it's being open to going where something you want to pursue. So, not everyone has the, within them to kind of seek those opportunities out, but staying open to that. Volunteering, that seems like a lost art sometimes, but I think if you have a chance to, go out and help, and you never know, who you'll meet or what impression you'll make, and you'll find out what you like, what you don't like. Maybe you just got a bad taste in your mouth about something, or maybe you really liked it. So I know that's what I did, and for me now, it's been 5 years. You have my resume there. I didn't even touch that in 5 years, that's probably not what they recommend. But I was just looking at that today, and I was like, oh, wow. It just kind of, I, went down memory lane personally, just kind of looking at, where I've been and where I've come to. But
All right. Thank you for your time.